Welcome back to the Nullified Take, where we have the TNT takes for you on Survivor 47, Episode 8. I'm your host, Jake. I'm here with my friend, Coach Drew. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing well, man. Great auction episode that turned into a great strategy episode. So I'm really looking forward to doing a little deep dive.
Yeah, for sure. I was so scared when I saw that last season we didn't have the auction back, that it was just a one and done. But very glad to have it back here. I have some criticisms that we'll get into, but overall, really glad to have it back.
Yeah, I have thoughts on the way that they do the auction this time around. I like the one little tweak they made to this one compared to the last one, which we will get into. Off the bat, don't worry, we'll talk all about Andy because we've been calling it for a while that Andy was going to, he was going to flip, and we both thought it was going to be because of everything that happened pre-merge. And really, it was because of what happened 2 episodes ago, and that has continued into this. Andy starts from the beginning, just saying he's looking for a reason to jump ship.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you there. Very, very surprised that it ended up being just those stray votes that he received at the tribal council a couple episodes. Was it last tribal?
No, it was the 2 tribals ago.
Right, because they were split up last time. Yeah, I thought for sure it would have been like he saw the writing on the wall the whole time, but it goes to show, like, don't take for granted, like, being the backup plan, or who you choose to be the backup plan, because people do not like seeing their name written down in any way, even if they were not even close to being voted out.
Yeah, they take it personally, and it's fine to take things game personally, and I feel like that's what Andy did. He took that game personally, and he used that as tackling fuel, to quote the Water Boy, to like move forward with the game. And now, we may have seen a pause on his revenge tour, and now we might be getting a Sam revenge tour. If we want to jump the gun by a whole episode, we might be getting the Sam revenge tour next episode. So this could turn into a Natalie Anderson type season where the winner is only because they got so pissed off at something that happened that they start to take out everybody else. And that makes that exciting. It makes this season exciting. I know we're a broken record, but I love this.
Yeah, I think that Sam becoming a Natalie Anderson-esque player was definitely not on my bingo card, but we could see it. We could. But I think maybe I have a bit less faith in Sam than maybe you or others do, because I just feel like who are his allies? He really he had Rachel, he had Andy, and he had Sierra. Rachel already is kind of pissed at him for taking out Annika. I can't fully trust him after that.
Mm-hmm.
Andy's already he's gone, and Sierra, the only one who really fully trusted him, she's gone too.
Just show, man.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that Sam is going to last much longer. What much longer means is relative. Do I think he's going to sit at the end? No, I don't think he's going to sit at the end. I do feel like Sam is not going to be the target next round, the ultimate target next round. I think that everything, obviously, as always, we're getting a whole bunch of red herrings in the trailer that don't actually mean anything. I do feel like the Sam and Andy confrontation will be very good television, but I don't think it'll ultimately lead to Sam going anywhere. But you're right. Sam no longer has anyone that he can 100% trust, but there are enough smart people in the season that have seen that at other points and have said, oh, let me just get that person then, because now I can utilize them to make this next move. And as we learned in this episode, there are a lot of people looking at different folks as the big move moving forward.
Yeah, I think it's still pretty wide open, really, in all aspects going forward, but specifically next week, I think that, yeah, usually the most obvious thing that we think is going to happen is probably not going to happen. I think people are going to try to scoop up Sam as a number, try to take out whoever they've been eyeing. I know that Genevieve is still like dead set on Rachel. Other people are dead set on Rachel, but she's got an idol. We'll get into that. Should we try to go back to the beginning? Maybe talk about Saul and Rachel.
Yes.
Little, yeah.
Yes. How do we think? Like, I know we talked all about it last week. How do we feel about Saul telling her, "Hey, it was me"?
I think this is great. I like seeing how it ended. Obviously, hindsight, it went. I think it went really well for everyone involved. But um, I thought it was very interesting that Rachel was like, "I knew it was you. I knew it from the second that I got." I was like, "That was random." Okay, but like, yeah, Rachel, like, so appreciative, so like, yes, like, let's do this, And Saul, I've been saying, like, Saul, I didn't feel like had very many legs in this game. Like, he's got to scoop up some people, have his people, and he's getting Saul's agents, which I
Yes.
thought was. But
There's a fun little moment this episode where it's like, wow, the editor's having a wild time with this.
right, yeah, and so yeah, just seeing how it all played out, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is good. Like, I don't see why Rachel would ever spill the beans at this point. I think that
Yeah,
they've got a good thing going.
yeah. I don't see it happening unless like she absolutely needs to. Because and the reason I'm gonna play 5D chess or whatever here. The fact that they never acknowledged that again once that scene ended, like it just never came up in any type of conversation. Even like during strategizing, no one gives Saul or Rachel never give confessionals about, oh yeah, and there's this whole thing about the safety without power last round. It was just kind of a one and done segment, and we never hear from it again, which leads me to believe that it probably won't come into play again. And if it does, that's a fun little trick that the that the producers are going to trick on us, put on us, which they've done many times this season. I do think it's a good idea. I do feel like just the way we were shown their interaction went, I think that it could definitely pay off for both of them long term, but specifically Rachel, because she's going to be a target much sooner than Saul is, according to what we're being shown so far.
Yeah, totally agree. And then I think the other one of Saul's agents is Kyle. Am I right? Am I misremembering? Because I actually watched this yesterday, so it's not as fresh in my mind as I would
It's not, I
like
mean,
it to be.
I watched it Thursday, but I don't remember who the other one was. But I mean, if we want to talk about Kyle real quick, anyway, we said at the merge or whatever that Kyle. The worst thing that Kyle could have done is win that first immunity and win another immunity, and then he wins another immunity. I know jumping the gun again, but like he wins another immunity, and he knows that his time potentially is going to be up the next time that he loses. Do you think that do you think that he has the social, I'll just say social capital, I guess, to keep him around when he inevitably does not win an immunity?
That is so hard. I think yes, yes. I do think it's possible. But I don't know if it's really his social capital. It's more so like people acknowledging that, like, okay, but this is still a number. Like, if he were like this power player in the game, like sort of like a Gabe or a Rachel or Carolyn, then he's, I think he's out. But I think that we see. I'm now remembering. Saul, Kyle is the other one of the people that is kind of mentioned as like, oh, Saul's picking them up. Kyle has a scene where he's like, I love Saul. He's just such a good guy, And if Kyle is such a just seems like just a good guy, nice guy. That can help. And we know that Carolyn and Gabe specifically, I think, want him around. They don't want all their Tuku numbers to go.
Yeah.
I think there are still people that have Kyle staying in the game in their interests, but it's definitely not out of the question that he just gets taken out because people are like, yeah, I want a chance to win immunity for once, So
Yeah.
it's hard, but I think that there's definitely a chance.
I think that unlike other challenge beasts of the past, I do feel like Kyle has enough people that want him there, and or has built a few key relationships with folks that if he loses, he will be fine. The problem becomes if people decide, and people like Genevieve, Caroline, these really smart players start to put Kyle on a pedestal. Not, for they're putting him on a pedestal so that everybody else goes after him at a certain point and once again leaves them alone, which I guess is only a problem for Kyle. It's not a problem for them because we haven't heard anyone say Genevieve's name as far as a threat. And us as an audience know that she is. Us as an audience know that she's, I won't say she's running the show, but she's doing a lot. All we're being shown and told, actually, all we're being told is that Rachel is the biggest threat in the game without ever actually showing us what she's really doing. And I know you used analogy before we went live. If you want to share that.
Yeah. I think it's very similar to Erica in 41, where even pre-merge, especially because they never even went to tribal council, it seemed like half the scenes that were shown of that blue tribe was just repeating. Like Deshaun and Danny even have a conversation about should we throw the challenge to vote
and they
her
try
out? And
to,
it's like
the seer's not about the life.
Yeah, that's a domino effect if we've ever seen one. Who knows what would have happened if they threw that and took her out? But yeah, a lot of telling, not showing. A lot of telling us she's a threat without showing us, okay, but why? Why is she a threat? Why, other than showing she's good socially? Okay, that's fair, but that's not enough in the specifically. I think for us, it's I think we need to see a little bit more because right now Rachel doesn't have numbers and is, well, I guess they don't know, but she has an idol. But she just used her shot in the dark, so she can't use that for the rest of the season. So it's just interesting that there's this sense of urgency with taking her out, and they're really emphasizing it. So
Yeah,
I think it's very Erica-esque, or it could be, like you mentioned, that they're just building her up as a threat for somebody to take her down and use that at final tribal as their defining move.
Yeah, the Rachel edit this episode was, I was like, okay, well, if she's not winning, then she has to go home at 4 because she's been my runner pick since the beginning. But I feel like this episode they kept nailing home. Like Caroline sits there and says, Rachel's the biggest threat out here, and she has 2 different confessionals where she does that. She gets 2 confessionals where she's talking about how big of a threat Rachel is. Genevieve wants Rachel gone because she sees how great Rachel is. Once again, we're not saying it, but we trust that what these players are saying is true. Yeah. The fact that her big moment of the episode, which we can just we'll get to as we do the auction. There are things that Rachel does, and there are moments where it's I don't believe necessarily in the winner's edit, but if there was one, this is it, or this is the fallen angel edit that people like to talk about. It's one of the two. I'd be shocked if she just kind of randomly just goes in an episode without some type of I don't know. I feel like at this point she has to go during either an odd number episode or odd number of people left in a game, or loses at Final Four or wins, because she's been built up too much to just kind of get 7-1 or something like that. But I'm glad she's still there.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of just like stole the words right out of my mouth. I was literally going to say that like her going out in some like just unceremonious way is just like that's not even like a possibility in my mind right now. I think we both agree it's going to be one of those two things. I guess let's get to the auction where, or I guess the pre-auction where everybody's scrambling trying to find all these tubes of money in the jungle. They did this same thing that they did in 45. Do you like this aspect of the auction? You do? Okay.
I actually really like this. Poor Andy, but like, yeah, it especially because of the other dynamic of how they, we'll get to that aspect of it. But I like the fact that they have to find their own money in order to pay for the food.
Yeah, I do too, but I didn't like to see that Andy was just out of it from the beginning. I think maybe personally I would give them a base amount of money and then additionally they can find more in the jungle, because just kind of having Andy sit there just watching it all happen, a little lame. I wish that everybody was involved in some way. But yeah, I think it's fun, the scrambling. Maybe you don't do it every single time that they do the auction, mix it up a little bit, but yeah, I agree. But yeah, poor Andy. I mean,
so honestly, I thought he was 5D chessing it. I thought he was purposely throwing it because he had seen 45. It would know, oh yeah, if I have 0, I get to keep my vote. And then of course he doesn't get any type of confessional that says he did that, which leads me to believe that obviously he just sucked at the challenge. But I'm like, wow, Andy's like throwing this so that he starts with 0. It's so crazy, but it's brilliant.
No. The edit, obviously we hear it straight from Andy's mouth that he didn't do that, but also the edit makes it very clear dude just walks past it like 5 times. And I was like, it literally felt like it was like a freaking like, sitcom where it was like he walks past Genevieve and is like, I haven't found any, dang it. And she's like, oh, that sucks. And he walks by and immediately she just like grabs it right in front of him. Then he just walks by. I'm just like, dude.
It's Russell Swan-esque in Philippines, where it's like, oh yeah, we're just going to show you that this kid is just clearly, he missed 2 that we're shown on camera. I'm assuming he missed a lot more in real time.
Oh yeah.
And you start that episode 1 Andy starts to come out. Mm-hmm. And I'm just like, at that point I was like, oh, I mean, I care. It's like, okay, he'll be fine because we know what's about to happen. And, he doesn't get to eat, but I think he'll be all right. And then, I think Caroline gets the most, or no, who gets the most? Sierra gets the most. Sierra gets the most. We get to the auction. And once again, I like certain aspects of it. The thing that I hate, and I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing that you don't like, is that once again there's a dynamic where someone loses a vote.
Yeah, same here. I like, this is like actually one of my least favorite things that they've done in recent seasons. Like, it gets to the point where it's like, and I didn't just come up with this, I think I saw it on Twitter. It becomes like a game of hot potato where it's like Jeff's like, okay, this might be the last item. And so, like, whoever has the most money at that point just automatically wins the item. And then it's just like, okay, it's like if anybody's done any coding, it's like an if-else statement where it's like, if there's another item, whoever has the most money at that point just wins it. And if there is no other item, then that person just loses their vote. And it's like, okay, it just becomes so predictable. And also just hearing Jeff, like, I think he did it like 3 times where he was like, this could be the last item. Yeah. And then he flips it over. There will be another item. And it was like, what does this like build up like multiple times? Like, I don't know, it just felt like goofy. But yeah, I'm totally with you. This is like, kind of infuriating in my head because it just doesn't feel like something that it feels like something that they would be able to realize is not a good idea. And so I'm just disappointed in production for not seeing the flaws in this.
It's similar to the flag challenge from Thailand, where if you remember the flag challenge from Thailand.
I don't actually.
Okay, so
Yeah.
basically, there was it 21 flags, and you can either pick 2 or 3, and whatever team has left, whatever it was. But there's a very simple algorithm that I think Suchai won the challenge. I don't remember who won the challenge. I think maybe Suchai won it, but it doesn't matter. There's a very easy algorithm that they figured out at the very beginning of the challenge. They knew that if they picked 3 or 2, then they would basically auto win by the end of the challenge. And it's very similar to the new version of the auction, where it's like, okay, at a certain, once we get past 7, is that where the something?
I think
7,
it's
8,
there. Yeah, I think it's either 6 or 7, or it's like there's a minimum of 6 items, but it could be up to 15 or something like that.
Yeah, but at a certain point, as long as you know that you got something through 6, it doesn't really matter. And then after that, like you said, the next the person that has the highest amount of money every time is going to just buy until you get to a point where it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's it then.
Yeah.
And the losing of the vote aspect, once again, I think that every merge vote this season has had at least one person that couldn't vote. Is that true?
Yeah.
Well, I guess last week they could all vote, but 5 people didn't vote.
And Rachel left the tribe council. So yeah,
we haven't had an actual
business.
merge where everyone has been able to vote yet, and that's frustrating. Try just as far as a spectator trying to figure out where these votes are coming from, because I'm like, why are there only 2 votes? Skipping ahead, why are there only 2 votes for Andy? Who did? Oh, Gabe. Why are there 2 votes for Gabe?
I think there's only one.
There's 3 people. It's like, oh shit, I forgot. Oh no,
there's 1 vote for Gabe. Because the only people who would have voted for Gabe were Rachel and Sam. Yeah.
Yeah, but my point being that as a viewer, it starts to get confusing and who does and who doesn't and all that, which is why I'm glad that the idol that Rachel finds, and this is the aspect of the auction that I enjoyed this time around, was they hid an actual clue in one of the rewards, and we have Rachel finding the idol. I won't say pretty easily, but like everyone was sitting there, and this the way it was shot. I'm like, wow, these people can't clearly see this woman like standing a couple of feet away with the machete,
yeah,
and it looks like she's struggling to do it. So
yeah.
But what did you think about that aspect being added to the auction this time around?
Love it. I love it. I've been screaming this from the rooftops forever since they got rid of the auction back in Worlds Apart, where Jeff says, oh, well, we can't do the auction again because people just wait until the end for the advantage and just save all their money. Okay, Jeff, then just hide an advantage in one of the items at the auction. Just do that. Australian Survivor does that. You've done that at reward challenges. They did it this season at one of the rewards where Saul found it in one of the little plants. Yeah. And like one of my favorite ways that they've ever hid a little scroll is in Redemption Island, where Rob has the little swirl cookies, like cylindrical cookies.
Yes.
And it looks just like it, but it's just hidden in there. Obviously, Rob just throws into a volcano, but I was like, oh, that's genius. And this time around, a little less similar looking than the scroll with the French fries, but I was just like, yes, finally. Like, I was just so happy that they did that, because I've literally been saying they should do this forever. This is the first season that you and I have podcasts together, but Chris knows I've been harping on this forever. So I was so happy to see that.
Yeah, and yes, it's very similar to the Redemption Island, the way that the scroll was put in there. Um, and it was the perfect person to get it, and especially with her story arc, the second half of this episode, being one, getting the idol, not hearing that her name's out there, but getting sus that her name might be out there because of how people are navigating, and then ultimately, in a very smart move, I know someone in the comments mentioned it earlier too. Oh, there it is. In a very smart move, she just plays her shot in the dark, and now people like she did her whole showboat thing just to play her shot in the dark, and ended up not safe. So now no one's going to think she has anything, because why would you not play something if you know you're not safe? I think that when she does play it, I think it'll be played correctly. I don't see her getting blindsided to the point where it's her, because I feel like Saul would tell her, because I think that it was Saul that saved her ass this episode, instead of splitting the vote on her and Sierra, or her and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
I think Saul probably, I know we kind of see it, but like behind the scenes, put his foot down and said, "Oh no, let's just do this because we know that they're a duo, they're a showmans. Let's do it. Let's go after them." I think that Rachel's, once again, I just feel like Rachel's going to be in a good spot almost no matter what. They're going to have to pull some really clever shit to get her out.
Yeah, I didn't even think of this. That is so smart. In my mind, I was just sitting there like, okay, you played the shot in the dark, it didn't work. Why didn't you just play the idol afterwards if you're like that worried? I was thinking in my head, it kind of reminds me of, if you remember, Nick Wilson in David vs. Goliath. He has a fake idol and a real idol. He plays the fake idol first to get a read on everybody to see how they react, and then he was wrong, but in his mind he read that they were afraid that it was going to work, so he plays his real idol. That's what I thought was happening, and because she was looking around and it looked like she was trying to look at everybody's facial expressions, and then to me it seemed like she assessed, okay, I think I'm okay, I think they're going after someone else. But that is so smart if true, that like that throws her throws other people off the scent of like, okay, that's all she's got, like she's scared, she's not confident, whatever. That's very good point.
Question: the one who was able to share peanut butter, was she not able to pick Andy since he couldn't bid, or did she deliberately not choose him? If that was the case, super harsh. I think that she could have shared with Andy. I just think that she chose not to share with Andy, which is her prerogative. Like, you can share whatever you want. I did think that she would share with Andy, because he was the only one not getting anything. But like, we're also not shown Andy being too pissed off of the fact that he doesn't get anything, which leads me to believe he probably didn't expect that to happen anyway. Which but I did think about them, like, wow, he's not going to get anything. But
there's no sharing either.
Yeah, because there's no sharing. So we end the auction. Rachel finds the idol. And then we go into the immunity challenge, where we have one male, one woman winning immunity, with Sue and Kyle once again winning. And we're off to the races with the strategy.
Yeah, I was thinking in my mind, why do you think that they split this up male female? Because I think anecdotal based on what happened, but it seemed like the men and women lasted fair, like average, about the same. So I don't know, was it just an excuse to have more than one person have immunity? I don't know, but very impressive by Sue. And other people. I was going to make a joke about her lying about her age, but I couldn't think of anything. But 57-year-old woman, still impressive, very impressive.
Yeah, and she was very steady too. Like, it didn't look like she struggled at all with it.
Yeah, for sure. And yeah, Kyle wins. This is his third, right? Or is it
I
fourth?
believe it's his third. I believe
Third.
it's
And we just hit that's also like very impressive. Like I don't think we should ignore that. Like we just hit the jury and he's already won three. Like
yeah.
that's very impressive. But as we kind of mentioned, maybe not the best move to do that. But yeah, off to the races, and Andy is jumping ship.
Yes. I'm jumping ship. I'm jumping ship. He just immediately it's like I no. And Sierra even questions him. She's like, "You sure you with us? You sure you with us? Oh, I'm still your island sister." And he's like, "Oh yeah, yeah, we're good, we're good, we're good." And then Andy goes into chaos mode, but controlled chaos mode. He's not doing anything crazy. He's just going after people that didn't fill him in on a plan and used him. And Sierra has this conversation where she's saying, Andy's just basically our plaything. Like we have him in the
Yeah.
pocket. He's gonna do everything. At the beginning of the episode, her and Sam, somebody, maybe it was Sam and Rachel. They sat there and said, "Oh, we forgot about Andy." Like they just
Yes.
forgot that he existed. And it's like,
Yeah.
okay, once again, at least we are being shown what he is doing in the game. And Andy talks about that. I am doing a lot of this stuff and people aren't seeing it. But he also refers to this as the she's all that moment, which was so cheesy the way they shot it, but I loved it.
Oh,
Um,
I had to
just
replay that.
it was great because I was like, wow, he's just throwing his glasses. But I was, oh, okay, because of the okay, all right, all right.
Yeah.
Um, it was great. Once again, I'm glad Andy's on the television. I don't want him to win, but I've enjoyed the Andy content that we have gotten, and I think that when he probably inevitably goes, it'll be a fun moment in itself.
Hmm. Yeah. I like we're finally getting some payoff to this buildup because you and I have been on this train for what feels like forever. Of like, okay, Andy is going to jump ship at some point. It's just a matter of when, and it finally happened. And do you think that he had? Because I feel like in other similar scenarios in past seasons, I feel like they've like given the courtesy of like, hey, since you're jumping ship with us, you get to choose which one of the two
Mhm.
are going home. Didn't really seem like that happened, but do you think that he probably would have gone for Sam, right? If he got to choose.
I feel like he would have gone for Sam.
Yeah.
But I don't. I do think that at this point he didn't actually care. Um,
Yeah.
it, the way the Sierra reacted, I feel like that was bad. I feel like Sam's could have been worse, and I
Mhm.
feel like it will the inevitable fight that we are going to see next week, verbal or altercation, whatever, is going to be worth Sam not going in this episode.
Yeah, for sure. I'm just like I'm so ready for Andy to just be like, dude, like I was your goat. Like stop, like don't pretend
Yeah.
like we both don't know, you know? Yeah. And you mentioned it, but when they were like when they were saying like, "Oh, I forgot that Andy existed" or whatever, and then Sam was like, "To be honest, I do too," or something. I'm just like, you guys are just like asking, like this is just like karma is just sitting there like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm so ready to get you out, or take out your closest ally.
Yeah.
Delicious. Yeah.
I wanted to point this out because this was the
Oh,
biggest plot twist for me this episode. So I wonder how much flack Kyle got going from vegan to vegetarian to eating chicken wings. For me, the biggest plot twist was that Kyle was a vegetarian. Period, because Kyle doesn't really give off vegetarian, and everyone
mhm.
knows what I'm talking about. So I was shocked by that. I'm sure he got some. I'm sure someone gave him shit for it because people give people shit for everything. But like, I didn't think it was weird that he was eating chicken wings. Like, I'm hungry. I don't care. The fact that he changed his lifestyle and the off chance he got casted for Survivor, I thought was really cool too.
Yeah, that is like shows dedication for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, if the community out there, vegetarian community out there is giving them shit, like, dude, like this is like the one time I think you should be able to make an exception. Like he's not getting any protein out there. Like they're struggling. Like this is the one item that he was able to buy. It was covered. He didn't know.
Didn't know.
And like he's not allowed to give it to anybody, so it would have just gone to waste if he didn't eat it. So yeah.
So really, he's doing everyone a service. Question: This season, most alliances coming in are unstable. Everyone besides Tuku seems to be working with people they didn't want to in the long run. Is that great for the Tuku group?
Well, I think even Tugu has their issues. You know, I think Sue is still pissed at Kyle, as far as we know. Carolyn still has her reservations about Gabe. I think Gabe still has his reservations about Carolyn. You know, so I think there's just a lot of cracks everywhere in this season, and it goes to show that there's a lot of volatility in terms of what can happen.
Do you think that we lose one of them next week? Do you
My,
do you think it's more likely that we lose one of them next week or lose any other person? Tuku or the field?
oh wow, in my mind, like I literally can just see anybody going home. So I think my gut is telling me that they stay together for one more. So I'm gonna say it's more likely that somebody outside of the Tuku goes home.
Yeah. Oh well, and we have a brief convo about, or I don't know who it was, but like, hey, we need to probably think about getting rid of one of the four of these people. And who says Gabe's a bigger threat than Caroline? And I'm like, wow, these people are not seeing, like, Gabe is chaotic, but like they're not seeing it. We're being shown something that may or may not actually be true. But in my head, Caroline's the one that has caught on to, Caroline and Genevieve are the ones that have caught on to everything going on in the game, period. Like, we
Mhm.
know that they know damn near everything that's going on. And that is, it's great because we get to hear it. They're narrating the game to us and are on nobody's radars. You know, I keep saying Caroline, Genevieve, Rachel are my folks, and nothing I saw this week makes me think, oh, well, any of them could be screwed soon. Like Rachel, potentially, but even then, she's less threatening now because she played her shot in the dark and they know she doesn't have anything. Like, none of them are on radars right now. And now we've got the Gabe Andy civil war about to start. People haven't forgotten about the Sue Blood thing, and I think that is going to come up again soon. You've got Kyle who keeps
Wow.
winning immunities, so he's going to be, a target at some point. You've got Gabe who is crazy, or well, is chaotic, whatever you want to call it. People are going to start going after him. Those three people somehow could skate by without actually skating by. They could just be doing all the stuff and just no one see it.
Yeah, no, you are really making a good case for those three, like playing phenomenal games so far. Like Genevieve, I don't think anybody has said a word about her so far, which like is crazy because she pulled off probably the best move of the season so far. Um, Rachel, yes, people are saying that she's the best player of the season, blah blah blah, whatever. But she, like you said, just had a moment where it's like definitely her threat levels lowered a lot, and she has allies moving forward, people that are looking out for her. And then Caroline, as far as I know, Gabe is the only person who has even said one word about her being a threat. And, you know, I don't know if people are really going to believe Gabe. I think he's just gonna try to hype up people as threats when they're not really one. So yeah, I think those three are in really good spots. And if it, I'll say this: if any of those three go home next week, like I'll eat crow because I just
Yeah,
don't see it.
I will eat this rock if any of those
Yeah,
three go.
yeah.
Yeah, and Teeny, yeah, I know we haven't talked much about Teeny, but
Mm,
yeah, Teeny. This is another episode where Teeny's like, yeah, the all women thing, and everyone's just like, yeah, yeah, we'll do that, and then home, and all of a sudden now we're down to non-males wise. We have non-males. We have Teeny, Rachel, Genevieve, Caroline, Sue.
mhm.
Is that it? And we're
So
at
it's,
final.
it's 10. So it's tied up 5-5.
Um, if Teeny wants to pull this off, they've got to get rid of Kyle or Gabe
Yeah.
this next week. One of them's got, I mean, or Sam. I mean, any
Mhm.
of them. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like Teeny's storyline since the merge has been, yeah, let's get all the non-males together. Let's do this. Let's do this. It's like, well, it's not working well so far. Rome goes home. Okay, yeah, male, and then we've got what back to back
Tiana,
females, right? Yeah,
Tiana and Rachel. Yep.
no, not Rachel.
Or sorry,
Sierra.
Sierra. Yes, Rachel was the yeah.
Which speaking of, when we have the three people's names out there in your head, who do you feel like the vote was ultimately going to fall on? I thought Sam. I thought it was gonna be Sam all the way.
Yeah, I thought it was Sam too because I just think like I thought Teeny was going to be able to have more pull in that sort of conversation. She was really pulling for her, and I just thought like I think there was a scene. Actually, never mind. That was Carolyn. I was going to reference at the Survivor Social Hour. Teeny, it was Teeny, Rachel, and someone else, and I thought it was Sierra, but it was actually
Yeah,
Carolyn. Um, I thought more people would be in her corner to be able to save Sierra, but maybe that's a reason why she did go because she had more people in her corner, which is why ultimately I believe it was the right move to take out Sierra because Sam, as I mentioned earlier, I don't see having any allies, like literally zero. Like maybe Rachel, maybe, but even then, he already burned her once, and if she doesn't literally have to, then I don't see her getting with. Um, but yeah, I think I thought Sam just because I thought more people would have Sierra's back.
yeah. No. I thought it was gonna be Sam. I figured it wouldn't be Rachel because Saul. I didn't feel like Saul would flip on her that fast. You raise a go. Gabe keeps referring to Teeny as Charlie Brown. Teeny keeps having Charlie Brown moments. I don't think that this will be the last time that Teeny has a Charlie Brown moment. I think that it'll continue to happen, but hopefully, she's able to recover.
Yeah,
Going back to you saying, Sam's not going to have anyone. I have one person in my head that I feel like could come in and swoop and take him in, Genevieve, because
mm,
that's what Genevieve does. Like that's just now that he's out on an island all alone. I feel like she comes in and says, "Hey, we could save you if you do this. I heard this rumor that this happens. So like, we could flip it this way." Just the way that she. And the internet keeps referring to like comparing her to Kim Spradlin, and I don't think that's a bad comparison at all,
hmm
especially if she wins. Because if she wins, there will have been what 2 episodes where we felt like, oh yeah, it's Genevieve. Like Genevieve has
yeah,
been, even when she's not, even when she's not the main focus, which she's even when she's not the main focus, we know exactly what she's doing. We know how she feels about every situation that's going on. And that's why I keep saying the three of them, but like Genevieve is, if she ends up winning, it would be like, yeah, I would consider that a very dominant win.
definitely. And I never considered. I don't really do player comparisons in my mind for some reason. I just don't really think about that. But Kim Spradlin for Genevieve, obviously, people are going to get all up in a fuss whenever you compare anybody to Survivor legends like Kim, but I totally see that. Like also just in they kind of look similar a little
Stature
bit.
wise,
Yeah,
yeah.
stature and just like body type.
Yeah.
But even obviously at this point I think everyone was like, okay, yeah, Kim's winning. You know,
Yeah.
and at this point it's more up in the air, but like you're totally right that if Genevieve wins, like we'll probably look back and be like, yeah, it was pretty obvious the whole time. I don't really know why we ever had any doubts. But like right now we're saying like it could be,
It could
but
be
there's
Rachel,
definitely
could be
yeah,
it could be
but there's
Caroline.
definitely a chance that we're just like, why did we not see it the whole time?
Just Genevieve. Yeah, it was just clear. It was Genevieve all along.
Yeah, yeah,
So we get to tribal. We kind of know as an audience that it's going to probably fall on Sierra, Rachel, or Sam. Rachel gives her whole speech. She's like, "Hey, this tribal council has gone on a lot longer than I thought it would be, so I feel like I might be in trouble." Plays a shot in the dark. I thought that she was going to be safe. I was like, there. I honestly thought that thought it was going to be a moment because the season has had so many moments. Period. Like, oh, this we're going to get another safe, not safe. She doesn't play it, which is super ballsy. And watching Sierra and Sam realize they've been had and watching on the revote, Teeny looking up at Sierra saying sorry, and Sierra just giving her the death glare is great TV once again. Andy's voting confessional. Thoughts?
I don't remember exactly what he said, but I remember it being like he wanted that to be a clip. He wanted
Yes.
that to be iconic. Do you remember
Yeah.
it like exactly what he said?
Well, basically, he's out for, in so many words, he's out for revenge. He is not evil, but he used basically words that we've used about him
Mm,
here, but saying it to the camera as he votes. Of course, we don't see who he votes for because this is on the revote. Um,
right.
but I do feel like, yeah, that was for the TV, which he makes great television, as we keep on saying. And I know I keep saying it, but like I'm really looking forward to him versus Sam on Wednesday because
Oh yeah.
I think that we could be having a Survivor moment, as Jeff might say. I rewatched episode 1, and the scene with Rachel and Andy still hasn't come to fruition. But my prediction is she wins the season, and her winning move is not aligning with Andy because she was aware he tanks allies' games. That is it.
Wow, that is actually a very good point because that's what she literally says that. Yeah, in episode 1, she's like, I don't know about this guy. Like, I literally told him like, don't make this obvious that we're working together, and he does the complete opposite of like waking her up in the middle of the night. Um, and then look at what he's doing. He's just tanking all of the Gada's games. That could be true. That is one thing that I definitely thought we would have seen more of so far in the merge is more Rachel Andy stuff because
Yeah,
I think this is like the fourth episode I've mentioned this in a row, but like Rachel, I want to see her talk to Andy and be like, "Did you know Sam had an idol the whole time? I never told you." Doesn't really matter at this point because he's already flipped. Doesn't need any more convincing, you know. But um, I was hoping to see that, and I think I want to see more Rachel Andy stuff. I still think that they could possibly reconnect and make something happen, depending, because I think Genevieve and Saul are probably working together somewhat. Saul's bringing in Rachel, Genevieve's bringing in Andy, so we could see some more payoff there. Um, but yeah, I do want to say about Teeny, she's definitely she's lost some steam come in this game. I think
yeah,
that it's kind of sad because I do like her, but losing Keyshawn was tough for her. She's not like the fact that she's still here proves
Yeah,
that, like, she's not dead and she's not playing a terrible game or anything,
and she's
like,
in the strategic talks with people. Like it's not like
right.
they're just like oh, let's go tell Teeny real quick.
Yeah. I just think that, like, if she continues on this trajectory, she could be that person at the end where it's like, okay, what did you really do?
It's
You
like a
know, like,
Romeo type thing.
maybe like more than Romeo, because I feel like Romeo was like really out of the loop on a lot of things.
Yeah,
Teeny's not out of the loop on anything, but it's just like, where was your control? Where was your agency? You were just kind of in the vote, but you didn't like push anything, or you did push, but you never got your way. So we'll see what happens. But like, they made it very clear. Yeah,
yeah,
maybe a bit harsh, but like, yeah, kind of. Like trying to make something happen, but it just never
yeah.
happens. Because they made it very clear to us, and I thought it was interesting because, as I've mentioned before, whenever Survivor like emphasizes something, it's for a reason. They emphasized Saul wants Sierra gone, Teeny wants Sam gone, and Genevieve or Carolyn wants Rachel gone. And so we see Teeny, uh, well, more specifically, Teeny wants Sierra to stay. Not necessarily she wants Sam gone. She was okay with either Sam or Rachel, but it was interesting that they pointed that, like, they really emphasized that, you know. And I think it shows that, like, she's losing steam, and she's got to kind of build back up quick.
And there's plenty of time. There's plenty of time.
Plenty of
Um,
time.
and it doesn't seem like anyone wants her to go. And I mean, obviously that could change next episode, but as of right now, it doesn't seem like anyone wants her to go. So like, she could pull off this crazy move next week and get rid of a Sam or basically anyone that is a male because all she wants is for these
Yeah.
non-males to get on the same page and get rid of them, and no one is listening. I'm hoping that she
Yeah.
has this moment where it's like, let please, can we just do this, please?
Yeah.
And I do think that Sue would probably be the hardest person. Maybe I was gonna say Sue was probably the hardest person to swing. Uh, yeah, I would say that Sue was probably the hardest person to swing in that situation.
Yeah. And also, I see people in the chat are saying this. I agree with. It's Teeny's been much more of a Cassidy than an Owen, where Cassidy by no means was really out of the loop. She was very much in the loop, but it got to the point where it was like, okay, but what did you really do, though? I think that's very possible that could happen if she continues on the way that she is right now. But by no means is that what I think is going to happen or what is definitely going to happen. If she is able to pull pieces together, which I think she can, because I think she has strategic and social chops in this
Yeah,
game, then totally she could win. I feel like I've repeated this, but I love that there's just a lot of possibilities so
there's
far.
a lot of possibilities, and we've got a whole month ish left of episodes,
Mhm.
so we're in for a wild ride. Any final thoughts on the episode besides it being great,
Um,
of course?
yeah, I think I'll just say, glad to have the auction back. So excited to see where this goes because there's like the range of possibilities is just massive.
Yeah, I think that we're at the point now where if the season had any naysayers, I think they even the nayest of naysayers have probably changed their tune at this point. I'd be shocked, besides trolls who just are going to hate the season because I feel like even the most dejected Survivor fan would be like, no, this is great. Um, hopefully, I mean, I would assume that it's Friday. It's Friday. It's Friday.
Yeah.
It's Friday. Yeah, I had a wedding this past weekend, but it wasn't me getting married. I'm excited to see where it goes. I think that like I was saying, yeah, at this point in the season, because we have so many possibilities, I think there's a very small chance that the season ends with people feeling not satisfied as audience members.
Yeah, it's possible. Yeah. But I
Um,
think that this has definitely blown my expectations out of the water so far. Um, just that the pre-merge specifically, I think we'll be talking about like this has been the best. This was the best new era pre-merge. Obviously, we got 48, 49, 50 still, going on, but yeah, I'm loving it so far.
all right, we want to wrap this up.
Yeah. All right, everybody, grab your torches, head back to camp. See you next week.